So now we are going to take actual problems, evaluate the discriminant, and then say if there are two solutions, one solution, or no real solutions for it. So these are the three problems that we're going to do. So remember, our discriminant is b squared minus 4ac. If it's positive, we have two real solutions. If it's 0, there's one real. If it's negative, there are no real solutions. Okay. So let's start with our first one. What is the a value? We have 7a squared plus 7a plus 4. What is the a value for our problem? Y'all can just show me their hands. Good. 7. What is the b? 7. And what is the c? 4. Okay. So we're going to write out b squared minus 4ac, and we're just going to plug in the numbers that correspond to those variables. So our b was 7, 7 squared minus 4, our a is 7, and our c is 4. So we said b was 7, a was 7, and c was 4. So we plug those in. We're just going to put them in the calculator just like that with the parentheses on all. 7 squared minus 4 times 7 times 4. You can use the Desmos calculator if you don't have one, or you can use the Chromebook one on your computer. And what is our number that we get? Anyone get the answer? You can put it in the chat if you don't want to talk. All right, I might just call on somebody to give me their answer, so make sure you get it. You're doing 7 squared minus 4 times 7 times 4. All right, let's see. Diamond, you get it? Oh, we got it. Good. Negative 63. Thank you, Layla. Negative 63. So our discriminant is negative 63. So we have that, and then they want us to tell how many solutions there are. So I look. Negative isn't in the positive 0, it's the negative column. So our answer would be no real solutions or potentially 2 non-real. These two could be one of the two answers for that. So we have no real solutions. And the graph does not hit the x-axis. Does that make sense to you guys? Plug it in, see if it's positive, negative, or 0, and then write down what type it is. All right, we'll try another one. We've got negative 2k squared plus 2k equals 0. So we'll do b squared minus 4ac. What is our b value? 2, right? So 2 squared minus 4. What's our a value? Negative 2. And what's our c value? The c is the number that doesn't have a variable next to it. Is there a c value in this problem? No, if there's not one, then you put 0. Okay, so our c is 0. There's not a number added, so that's why we have to put that there. So now we'll put that in our calculator if we need to. If you can do this one in your head, that's okay. You don't have to write that down then.
What's the a value?
Negative 2. A is always in front of the squared term, like this. A is always in front of whatever is squared. B is in front of just the regular variable, and C doesn't have one. So this would be A, this would be B, and then there's not a number by itself, so there's no C. So negative 2 is A, 2 is B. All right, did anybody get it when they typed it in the calculator? 2 squared minus 4 times negative 2 times 0, and your answer is 4. Okay, good. So is 4 positive, 0, or negative? It's positive. So how many solutions are there? 2, and they are real. So 2 real solutions, which means if we graphed it, it would touch the x-axis 2 times. Let's see if y'all remember this from before. Is this parabola going to be right side up or upside down? If you look at it, do you remember? It's going to be upside down, right? Because it starts with a negative. Okay. All right. I'm going to give you a little hint on this one, and then I want you to try it on your own, and you can tell me the answer. Yes, ma'am.
How do you know it's 2 real solutions?
Because 4 is a positive number, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I went up here to the positive and tells me there's 2 real solutions. If you number your good as positive, it's 2 real. If you get 0 for your answer, there's 1 real. If you get a negative number, that's no real. So you'll have one of those 3 situations at the end, and then you just go and look and see what type of number it was, and that will tell you how many solutions you have. All right, so let's get number 3 kind of set up, and then y'all can do it. What is the a value on number 3? What's in front of the n squared? A 1. So I'm going to go ahead and write that. So do your b squared minus 4ac. Then write down what the discriminant is, and then tell me how many solutions there are. So do that on your paper, and then hold that up for me. Scoot it over a little bit, Layla. Other way. Other way. Good. Now write here what the discriminant is and how many solutions there are. Thank you, Mackenzie. Good job. So remember, it goes A, B, C. A is 1, B is 6, C is 9. Plug it into this formula. Thank you, Diamond. Good job. Amari, good. Jaden, you got the discriminant right, but go back and double check the other part. They just get that over. Let me see. Let me see. Oh, Zasia, the A is 1. You mixed up the A, B, and C. A is 1 and B is 6. Jayla, scoot yours up a little bit so I can see. Okay, now scoot it a little down. Just a tiny bit. Oh, Jayla, the A is 1, not the B. The B is 6. When you do B squared at the beginning, that should be 6 squared.
You said what?
It should be 6 squared to start it off because it's B squared. The A is 1, the B is 6, and the C is 9. You just switched your A and B when you plugged it in. All right, I need to see some work from Donovan and Jackson and Amaya. Trinity, you did the same thing. Your A is 1 and your B is 6. So swap those in when you fill it in. Devin, Muedzi, Charles, Jeremiah, Aiden, Alex, Jaden, Tyler, Anna, Canantriel, Gavin, Talon, Paris. I need to see your work.
So I'm like still kind of confused.
Shalia, that's good.
Did I set this up wrong or right?
You set it up right. That's good. The 0 is good, but look back at what 0 means.
I can't hear y'all. Hold on, I'm gonna have to leave because it went mute or something.
Okay, bye.
Yeah.
Jayla, this is A. 1 is A.
Wait, where?
C is 9. It goes A, B, C. So when you're plugging it in, this will be 6 because 6 was B.
What?
It goes A,
Um,
B, C. They go in order, right? A. Oh, that's too fat.
so I did put my A as. I did put 1 as A
But you put it in the B position.
in the B position.
Yeah.
So I put 1 at the beginning.
Right, but that should be where the B goes because the formula goes B squared minus 4AC. This is A, the 1. 6 is B, and 9 is C. So that's where you get the 3 letters from. Now we look and say B squared, but B was 6. So I'll do 6 squared.
That is so weird. What?
Then minus 4. Then A is 1, so that goes in there for A. And C was 9.
Oh, okay.
So I got so it was right then.
Jackson, you got 6 versus you got 0, right? All you have to do once you get the number at the end, when you evaluate that, is then look, is it positive, is it 0, or is it negative? And then write down your number of solutions. Good, Trinity. Thank you, Daviana. Anna, zoom in a little.
It's a little messed up.
Okay. Yeah, it's just a little blurry. Canitria, you got it set up right, but let's see what happens now, okay? So we did 6 squared minus 4 times 1 times 3. Saja, good job. Donovan, go ahead and evaluate that. And what did we get when we did 6 squared minus 4 times 1 times 9? You got 0, okay? So at this point, we're not sure how many solutions there are until we go back up here and check. 0 positive, 0 or negative? It is 0, right? So we go and see, what does that mean? That means we have 1 real solution. Our answer was 0, so we have 1 real solution. Okay. So from before, the first one we did, we got a negative number. So we looked to see negatives mean this. Okay, so we wrote it down. The second one, we got a positive number. Positive numbers mean this. We wrote that down. All right. So that is the discriminant. The next one we're going to do is we're going to fill out the full quadratic formula. So we're going to plug all the numbers into the one that we heard the song for. So I'm going to write that down first. We still use the same thing for A, B, and C. So A is in front of the x squared, B is in front of the x part, and C is by itself. So remember, our quadratic formula was x equals negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. Remember, to get the a, the b, and the c, you look at what's in front of each of your variables. An important thing to notice is that you have to have everything on one side before you can plug it in. Just like when we were doing our factoring, we had to move everything over. So we got to have everything on one side. So does everybody have the formula written down? So I'm going to go ahead and on number 4, I'm going to identify what A, B, and C are. So this problem is 12r squared plus 7r minus 13 equals 0. 12r squared plus 7r minus 13 equals 0. Which one is the A? Y'all can mouth it. 12, good. Which one is the B? The 7. Which one is the C? The negative 13. Okay, so when we're plugging it in the formula, if it says B, you're going to look, that was 7. If it says C, you're going to look, that was negative 13. A is 12. So here we go. X equals negative, what was the B? 7 plus or minus the square root of, then we're going to do the B squared minus 4AC. That's what we've been filling out before. 7 squared minus 4. Our A is 12. Our C is negative 13. Then it goes all over 2A. So all over 2 times 12. Okay. And what's nice about this, I mean, it looks like a lot on your paper, is we don't just put all of this in the calculator. The only thing we're going to put in the calculator is the discriminant part. What would go underneath the square root? Don't do the square root sign. So just do what you would have done up above. So we're going to type in 7 squared. 7 squared minus 4 times 12 times negative 13. And I think I got 673. So I evaluated this. I just put it in the calculator, the stuff underneath. So I'm going to write 7 plus or minus the square root of 673 all over 24. Where did I get 24 from?
You multiply the
Yeah,
bottom.
2 times 12. Yeah. So go ahead and do that. And that's just 2 times the number, and you can do that part in your head. All right. So then at this point, you want to look and see, is what's underneath the square root a perfect square? So I just did square root of 673. I tried it out, and it's not a perfect square, so you just leave it like that. You don't have to do anything else. You think we should try another one? Okay. All right, so let's do the next one. What's the A value? 4. What's the B value? 2. And the C value is negative 30. So X equals negative 2 plus or minus the square root of, and underneath is B squared minus 4AC. B is 2 minus 4. A is 4. And C is negative 30. And all over 2 times 4. So what we do is evaluate what's underneath our square root, and I think it ends up being 484. So that's 484. So we have negative 2 plus or minus the square root of 484 over 8. Will somebody check and see if 484 is a perfect square? Can you do the square root of 484 on your calculator? Do you get a whole number when you do the square root of 484? It's 22. Okay. So if you get an actual number, if it's a perfect square, we can't just leave it like this. We have to do a little simplifying. So this is what needs to happen. Okay. We're going to do a positive and a negative. We're going to have two parts, the positive and the negative. So if it is a perfect square, we split it. The square root of that was 22. So I'm going to write negative 2 plus 22 over 8 and negative 2 minus 22 over 8. So if it is an actual perfect square, we split, and then we'll just evaluate both of those. We can do that in the calculator. Just type this in, get an answer, type that in, get an answer. You'll get 2 decimal, maybe a whole number for one. I think this one's negative 3, but this one will be a decimal. Just type it in.
I don't know how you got all that at the bottom.
This here?
Yes.
So we have a positive and a negative, so it's going to tell us we have 2 problems to do. We have to do it with the plus and with the minus. Amari put that in the calculator for us, the square root part, and the square root of 484 was 22. So we just replaced it with a 22. We wrote negative 2 plus 22, because that's what that was, over 8, and negative 2 minus 22 over 8. So if it is a perfect square, which this was 22, you've got to actually evaluate them. This one wasn't, so we couldn't do anything with it. So then we just put that in the calculator. I got 5 halves for the first one and negative 3 for the second one. Did y'all get the same thing when you typed them in? Okay. So you plug it in, evaluate what's under the square root, see if it's a perfect square. If it's not, you just leave it, and that's it. If it is, you split it up and have to evaluate both of them. You want to try one more? Let's do one more of these, and then you guys can, then I'll show you the very beginning of 4/8, so you can get started on that. They're really, really easy compared to this. On 6 and 7, are they ready for us to plug in the formula yet? So if you think yes, thumbs up. If you think no, thumbs down. Are 6 and 7 ready for us to use the formula? No, they are not, because all of the stuff is not on one side. So we have to move stuff first. So on number 6, we need to subtract this 81. Then we can do it. Then we'll label our A, our B, our C. Plug it in. X equals negative B, which would be negative 9, plus or minus the square root of B squared, 9 squared, minus 4 times 6 times negative 81, all over 2 times 6. Any questions at this point, how we got here on this problem? Everybody okay? Just to this point? Okay. Now we calculate what's inside the square root. Don't use the square root sign or anything. Just plug those numbers in. 9 squared minus 4 times 6 times negative 81. And I got 2025. Is 2025 a perfect square? Someone check that for me. Do the square root of 2025. It is 45. So 2025, this is 45. So we're going to split it up. Into -9 plus 45 over 12 and -9 minus 45 over 12. So once I split it, I just put it in the calculator. Yes,
Pretty sure we got 9 2 again. And
9/2. I did -9 minus 45 and got -54. I just hit enter on my calculator and then hit divide by 12. And it was -4.5, and then I made it into a fraction. Probably blurry on there. Can you see that? So I just said -9 minus 45, and then divide by 12, and then hit math, enter to make a fraction. You could put the decimal if you wanted. I would take -4.5 for that one. Okay. Are we okay on these? Do you see why you don't have that many of these on your homework? Because they take a little while to do. Okay. All right. So I am going to jump just to show you super quickly. I think you'll have time to write most of this down next time. I just want you to get a head start on the 4/8 part of it. And these are when we have our imaginary numbers. So it's kind of cool. They're kind of fun to do. But people like these a bunch better. The imaginary numbers are numbers that are not on our XY plane. They have their own plane. Imaginary numbers are written like this. A plus BI, where A is the real part and BI is the imaginary part. The I for us right now is just going to stand for the fact that this is an imaginary number. Next time I'll tell you what the I actually stands for, but this first part is just graphing it and doing some like terms adding together. Okay, so I'm just going to quickly show you how you could graph these really easily. We have a real axis and an imaginary axis, and it kind of works like an X and a Y. You go this much in the real direction, this much in the imaginary direction, depending on your number. So on number 1, what is the real number? 2. What's the imaginary number? -3i. So if I'm going to graph this, I go 2 in the real direction, and you think I'm going to go up or down? Down because it was negative. So I'm going to go 2 in the real, 3 in the negative imaginary direction. Does that kind of make some sense? This is like your X, this is like your Y for real and imaginary. Okay, let's look at number 2. What's the real part? -1, and the imaginary part is 5. So I'm going -1 on my real axis and up to 5 on my imaginary. To start at the origin, think about which way you're going, left or right, depending on positive or negative, and then doing that. Some of them you have to write your own, tell them the graph, like what the number is. So I'm going to show you those real quick. You'll have time to write all this down next time. We want this complex number. If I have this point here, how much did it go in the real direction?
Is this going to be on our homework?
If you want to start the next assignment, I'm just showing you the first part so you can get some of it done so you don't have all of 4/8 and your study guide next time. If you want to work ahead. So going -1 in the real, and how much in the imaginary? 2, so we put plus 2i. And the next one, how much in the real direction? 2. Do we go any in the imaginary direction? No, so it's just the number 2. You could put plus 0i if you wanted to, but there's no I part for it. Is that better than the quadratic formula? Okay. And then the only other part, and I'll let you know what number you can get to. If you have problems that look like this, you're just adding and subtracting. You just combine like terms, like the I is an X. So here I would have 6. We've got minus 3, minus 1 more, which would make minus 4i. I'm just combining like terms. But minus 3i and minus 1 more, which would make negative 4. So real parts get added with real parts, imaginary parts get added with imaginary parts. So number 6, I have 8 and 4, which makes how many with my real parts? Eight and 4 together make 12, right? And 7 and negative 7, those are going to cancel. So for these, we're just combining like terms. That's like 8 plus 4 plus 7i minus 7i, just grouping them together. And remember, if you have a negative in between two sets of parentheses, that you have to distribute it first. So negative 5 plus 8i, this becomes plus 5 plus 2i, and then combine like terms. And like I said, we'll go over what I stands for and what it means next time. But if you wanted a head start, as long as you can stop at like the simplifying where you're adding and subtracting. When you start to multiply, though, I do want you to wait on those because I'll have to show you how to do it on the 4